So thank you guys for tuning back in with me and Cisco. We are back with volume three. We're going to chop it up and discuss some key points in the volume three of the grand jury transcripts for Nipsey Hussle's assassination. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And thank you so much, Cisco, for joining us. Really do appreciate you. Um,
Thank
so volume three. We got a lot of detail going on, and we're going to start at witness number one. So, after the fact, you said that you read in the transcripts that after the shooting, the witness number one testified to seeing another person running up to her car.
Yes, yes. The district attorney asked, and the first person you saw after the gunshots was some man you didn't know running, correct? And she says, correct.
Hmm.
And the next question is, and then after that, Eric, came running back to your car, correct? Correct.
Hmm. Okay. She also stated that she was threatened by Eric Holder, that he was threatening to slap her if she didn't cooperate with his requests. Um, After the shooting, witness one testifies that she left 3420 Slauson Avenue and directly hit the 405 freeway. And then she went to Harold's house, who is Eric Holder's cousin. And you told me when we were investigating that it would take about 30 minutes or so to get from the store, the Marathon Continue store, to Harold's house, roughly, just by the way where he's located, which we found out
Yes.
that he's not too far away from the store in volume one or two, volume two, I do believe. So she also goes into characteristics on how she's driving. She said that she's driving fast at this point when Eric Holder gets back in her car after she heard all these gunshots, after she's seen people running off. So she admits to driving fast. She was also asked about a conversation in the car with Eric Holder, and she explains that she asked Eric where did he want to go, and Eric asked for some music. So he really didn't say too much to her. He didn't say anything about the shooting, and she also claims that she saw a 9mm black gun and a revolver, a silver gun. She's saying that he put
Right. Which conflicts with what she said in volume one.
correct, correct. She's saying that he put the black gun, the 9mm, into his food bag and took that into Harold's house. And she did not know what happened to the silver gun. He got out of the car and told her, "You are funny style," pretty much saying, "You're acting funny."
Right.
And he didn't go in. She just left and went to her mother's house. She told her mom what happened at around 4 something in that afternoon. So, is that a couple hours after the shooting? Shooting happened at around
Um, I want to say the shooting happened around three, right?
exactly. That's what I was about to say to you. I thought it happened around 3. Yeah, I thought it did. So that's what she testified to, saying that she dropped Eric Holder off with his cousin 30 minutes away. She made it back home to Long Beach, correct? And told her mom at 4 something that afternoon about
Well, her mom lives in L.A. She lives in. Remember, she was staying with her mom. Her apartment is in L.A. I mean, in Long Beach, which is walking distance, probably in the same complex as Eric Holder. So when she says she going home, I think she means she's going to her mother's house because she hadn't been staying in Long Beach.
correct, correct. Okay. So she found out Nipsey was shot on social media. So, you came home and you told your mom something. Like, "Hey, the guy you met after a week of knowing him, He did some weird stuff today, Mom. Um, Eric called her around 8 p.m. that night. She came to get him from Harold's house. At this point, he had on a black and white camo reverse jacket. That's what she testified to seeing when she came and got him. She took Eric to the mom's house. So she took him back to her mom's house because he wanted to spend the night.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't say nothing about the shooting to her once again. And she didn't talk to anybody but her mother about the shooting. Interesting. So she has no friends, apparently.
Right.
Eric wanted to go to her apartment, which is located in Long Beach. She needed to go to work, so she claimed. So he couldn't stay at her mom's house. And he asked her to get a room for him because his place was dirty, so he claimed. So she takes him to go get the room. She actually signs in using her ID and then went to go see him again after she got off from work. And that
Right.
was her transporting job at around 4 p.m. the next day. She
Right.
came to ask him about what she was seeing on social media. Claimed she wasn't scared of him. So she came to confront him about his picture popping up on the internet because at that time everybody was circulating that picture of him and her car, her license plate being put out there by TMZ. Um, she saw a pic of her car on the news and the license plate with a picture of Eric standing beside the car on local news. Now, you really wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yes. Prompt me. Just
She
remind me.
she saw that picture on the local news of Eric Holder
Right.
standing beside her car, and you said
Right.
while we were researching that was pretty interesting that we kind of missed that because we were on this as soon as it.
Right. 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 Exactly. The thing that we heard was that TMZ found out what her car was. They ran the thing. They found the name and da 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 da. Well, based on that, that is interesting because it means that they were posting her car on local news.
Correct. Correct.
You,
Uh oh.
you
Uh
know.
oh. And I wish we would have got that picture. And if we can't find it, I'll try to go through the internet again before I post the video. Huh. Good luck, right? So, so the mom made her go to the police department early the next morning and give a statement. So her mom encouraged her to go on to the police department, girl.
but
She, go ahead.
but with all that she knew at that point, she wasn't prompted to go to the police until she saw her car. Meaning, you was in the car, you drove from Long Beach to that place, you took a selfie with Nipsey. He told you to drive. He kept making you drive around the block, drive in the Fat Burger. No, park over here. Go, let me go on the Master Burger. Have a conversation with Nipsey. Pull in the alley. You hear gunshots. Drive away. He won't talk to you. Da 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 da. And you don't. And you see social media. And you remember that one question. She also called him
Correct.
before going to the police.
Or going to the police station. Now,
Yeah.
this is where she called him and asked, "Are you good?" She
Right.
and then she
Right.
fumbled. She fumbled with the
Right.
question on when she called him and asked that.
Right.
So she called him before she went into the police department and they had whatever conversation they had. I do believe the police department even said in the transcripts that they asked her to call him while she was in there, right? And getting interviewed.
I
I,
I think so. Exact. I think so. I think you're
I,
right.
I think so. But if anybody wants to go back and check that, go ahead.
I'm
Um,
honest. While you're talking, I'm gonna scroll and see if I can pull. I'm gonna find it.
All right. So that phone call where she asked, "Are you good?" She claimed that that was before she saw the news at around 7 or 8 p.m. that night. The news comes on at 11 p.m. in most areas. So maybe she caught the 6 p.m. news. We can, we don't know. So they asked her after the news report. She said no, didn't want to talk to him no more. So all that we just said was Sunday into Monday.
Okay, he called her around 8 o'clock that night,
Mhm.
and he asked, "Could I come pick him up?" Uh, did he tell you why he wanted you to come pick him up? No. Did you pick him up? Yes. Where did you pick him up from? Harold's house. Oh, this is earlier. She picked him up from Harold's house. Yeah, yeah. I'm still behind. We need to get to the motel.
Okay.
And then,
So
oh, but this is interesting. After Harold's house, did you mention that they went to his mom, her mom's house
yeah, I already
together?
was. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, that's another thing. I mean, it's just so it's like a weird little something doesn't fit right there.
I mean, this guy done been threatening you. He done pretty much called you funny, like you acting funny. He done pretty much killed somebody, and you're driving off fast from a scene, and you don't question him at all. You just bring him to your mom's house. Okay.
Yeah, that's strange.
Couldn't be me. So Tuesday morning, she went to the 77th precinct with her mom in her mom's car, not in her own car, not in that white car that's been all over the news. Okay. They told her and her mother to go home and don't watch the news.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they were claiming that this was in their internal affairs investigation. They're claiming that that officer wasn't briefed.
By the Chiefs press conference.
Mm,
Now, now, I don't think that the police officers get briefed at a press conference. I think they get briefed by their shift leader or whoever that is.
mm,
I think we've seen that a million times on television shows where it's not even actors, it's like really the police station, and you see all the police officers sitting down, and there's one guy briefing them. Why would he get briefed at a press conference? That's where the public gets briefed. Press conferences are for the public, not for police officers. So I don't know what they meant by that statement.
interesting. I guess that's why internal affairs is snooping around in there. Not like they're gonna find anything, but okay. Okay, so she went to work after leaving that police station in her car. So she said, "Okay, mom, bye. I'm going to work in my car that's been all over the news." And at that point, I'm thinking, isn't there a bolo out? Be on the lookout for this car. Why didn't she get pulled over when she's on her way transporting or doing her second job? Or
Absolutely.
or if she was at her home health aid job, how did the police miss her? But okay. So she spoke with a Miss Muhammad from the police department, and they talked to her mom. Miss Muhammad talked to her mom, interviewed her for 5 hours. So she finally gets to have the interview. They interviewed her for 5 hours. So within the interview for the police department, she's saying that she saw the pic with her and Nipsey. She gave it to them. Um, Also referenced where it was located on her social media. They searched her phone, her car, and they did have her call Eric on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't answered or not. They didn't elaborate on that. while in the interview. They searched her apartment and her mom's apartment. And she also told them where her apartment was, but that wasn't elaborated on if his apartment was searched or not.
Right.
Um, they let her leave and held her onto her car. She got it back the same day, so they didn't keep it that long, even though that's a
Right.
part of the crime scene. Interesting. So then they take a recess and they come back and they are talking about camera 6 shows the group of men talking. And this is where they're saying that Eric has on no shirt. And in 30 seconds, she walks up within that video, walks up to get the selfie and heard the conversation between Eric Holder and Nipsey Hussle. She only
Right.
heard a little bit of it though. Exhibit 22 shows a pic from Masterburger, which shows a close up of a hand with a gun in it. She says it's Eric's hand. Exhibit 38 shows a hoodie, and it is a reverse hoodie with a black side and a black and white camo side. So he
Mm-hmm.
could either put it on the black side or he could switch it over and wear it on the black and white camo side.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the jacket that he was picked up from Harold's house in after that night of the shooting. So then they hit her with the potentially exculpatory evidence of People versus Johnson. And
Right.
if you to volume 1 and 2, you already know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming from the police interview. She's claiming that she didn't see the gun until after he got back to the car after the shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Police told her to tell the whole truth. So then she's saying that he manipulated the gun before the shooting.
Right.
So was that the second gun, the first gun, the semi-automatic 9mm, or was it the revolver? Which one? So then the drive-by statement was questioned. Did Eric Holder tell you that he wanted to do a drive-by? And they were questioning her, grilling her on that specific statement that she gave in
Right.
volume 2, I do believe.
And she fumbles over that several times.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Um.
I mean, did he or didn't he?
Right. and, and they clearly ask her, "Why didn't you tell them that the first time you told the story?" You
Right.
know, and she fumbles on that answer.
Right. So she went to the police station to talk about being protected because of being
Right.
a snitch. That's what
Right.
she went back up to the police department after that 5-hour interview, and she said, "Look, I think I'm going to be a target." And
Well,
baby,
well,
you are.
also it came into question. Remember, I'll try to find it. Well, they ask her a question and she pauses and then she's like, "Well, am I going to be protected?" So meaning that she wasn't divulging everything.
At first.
That's yeah, she was not divulging everything.
Interesting. So she wanted a little leverage on these people.
Right.
Oh.
I'm going to
So
see if I
they also question her about her accent, and she claims that she is from the South. So she might sound a little bit like me, you guys. Not saying I'm her. I'm not witness number one. He didn't say nothing about the drive-by. She did. So then they question her again about the drive-by statement. And she said that he didn't bring up drive-by. She did. So that was a very interesting point in that transcript as well. The drive-by statement. That's a key point that we need to pay attention to because that could be used in a certain way that me or you, us, we may not like in his actual trial.
Okay,
Um,
so just I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to clear that one little piece up. That what happened was is when they pressed on her to tell the truth, that's when she said, "Are you going to protect me?"
okay.
Yeah.
Like you said, a little leverage. She had to have some leverage. So, she said, what the district attorney asked her, what did you see or hear that made you think he wanted to do a drive-by? And her answer was loading up a magazine.
Right. Which is something that also didn't come in the first volume.
Correct, correct. She acted like she didn't know what a gun was.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying she didn't know what a gun was, literally, but she acted like she didn't know anything about guns. They were, I mean, first in the first volume, she was describing these things as black or gray, or, she described the first gun as black. She didn't say what it was or anything like that, but now he was loading up a magazine. Okay. And you know what? That would make me think somebody want to do a drive-by in my car too. um, she knew he was going to shoot someone when she saw the gun.
Yeah, she tries to look at how this reads. Now, in that exchange, if this is accurate, you're the first person to say to the detective, you said he wanted to do a drive-by. You said that he wanted to do a drive-by. Why did you tell the detective that he wanted to do a drive-by? Like, I'm from the South. I wasn't trying to, like, maybe I said the wrong word, like he, because I was using he. Like, he told me to drive around. He told me, that. So I wasn't trying to say, like, he told me to do a drive-by. I just probably said the wrong word. Like, I said he's going to do a drive-by in my car. I wasn't trying to say he said it.
Hmm. So that is a quote from witness number one from the grand jury testimony. And
but
yeah,
but does that answer the question?
heck no, no. And like we were saying, this exculpatory evidence, they explained to her once again that she could still be charged for whatever you said to the police department. So if you lied to them, you could still be charged under this exculpatory evidence, period. She also gives them the room, they also ask her about the room key in that exculpatory evidence. So she claims that she did give the police officers the room key that she got Eric Holder right after the shooting the next day. So
Yeah,
then,
which means she got him a room in her ID. Eric got a key and she kept a key.
yep, interesting. So she had access all night to that room if she really wanted to.
Exactly.
So this is the end of the exculpatory evidence. Like I said, they explained to her that you can still be charged if you don't stop playing. So they let it be known. So 1 minute when she got out of the car and took the picture. So she's claiming that it only took her a minute to get out the car and get the picture. And I assume she got back in the car. I don't think she stuck around with the men that long. So it was just pretty much she got out when they parked and took the picture and got back in her car.
Right.
Um, Called the hotel, told them don't let Eric stay another night and remove her name on Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon. I apologize. After, I assume after she talked to the police, she called the hotel room herself and told them to not let Eric stay there anymore, which is smart. um, I guess. Eric stayed Sunday night and she was asked again, did she see the gun Sunday night? She
Mm-hmm.
said no.
Mm-hmm.
But if we
Exactly.
read back right after the gun, after he comes back into the car, he had
Well, later she says he
he
comes
had
back to the car with two guns.
exactly. He had a gun. She saw that gun on Sunday 2 times before and after, and that's confirmed by her testimony. So it's no excuse why anything occurred with Nipsey and her being the driver. It's nothing. She's not oblivious to nothing. She knew what was going on. That's just what her testimony tells me. What does it
Right.
tell you?
Yeah, I mean, put yourself in the jury, and you listeners, put yourself in the grand jury. I mean, is she credible? I mean, if you guys haven't read the transcripts, and LA's doing an awesome job by summarizing it, just we're showing you the inconsistencies. This lady, I mean, me myself, I couldn't take her word. I couldn't take her word. If I was in that grand jury, I couldn't. There's no way.
Hmm. Well, let's just keep rolling then. I won't cut off and cut on. So then that's when we get to Ryan Sauls, who is
Okay.
a LA County sheriff for 8 years under the
Let me,
Lakewood County.
let me scroll down. Let me scroll down.
This was the guy on patrol at the Bellflower area. So he's the one who picked up Eric Holder in that video that we saw of him being picked up.
Hold on. One sec. One second. I'm just trying to get to where they begin.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Say what you. Would you? I'm sorry. Ask me again. I'm so sorry.
So this is the officer that picked up Eric Holder at the Bellflower area location where he was
Right.
found on that video with that girl saying, I
Right.
work at a mental institution.
Yeah.
Is that
I
him?
I feel so suspect about that video. I think that video is so suspect.
I do too. I mean, come on now. But hey. So he pulled up at about 1:30 p.m. to that area on
Hmm.
Artesian Boulevard with his partner.
Right.
At this point, he saw Eric wearing the black hooded sweatshirt over his head, which is in Exhibit 38, a red shirt underneath, gray tight pants. He didn't say shorts, he said pants, and white shoes. In one of the exhibits, they pull out, and I didn't get that exhibit. In one of the exhibits, he pulled out, um, they have a black and white checkered belt, which is the first time we're hearing about this. And they actually have the white New Balance shoes in the exhibit. And they showed that to Ryan Sauls, and he confirmed that that is what Eric Holder had on at the time that he was arrested. And we all know he was allegedly arrested trying to check into a mental institution, allegedly.
Right.
So then we get into Armando Mendoza, who is the South Bureau Homicide Division detective for 17 years. He actually got called out to the scene of the shooting to assist. He took notes on the evidence, and that pretty much consisted of a bunch of bullet fragments.
Right. He put the those. He was one of the people doing those little placards for
Yeah,
bullet fragments and shell casings and any other potential evidence.
correct. Such as like Exhibit 26. It was an image of the crime scene. It had items on the ground. The placards were out and they are connected to the property number for the evidence itself. So the way
Right.
he explained it is that those placards coincide with a number, which coincides with the evidence they collected on the scene. Um, Exhibit number 32 was a used cigarette butt, which I find kind of interesting too.
Right. Because for me, and you please tell us how you feel about that. But if you collected a cigarette butt, I would assume you did DNA and a DNA analysis on it, and
That's
that wasn't mentioned.
that's exactly why I feel a little weird about it. Hopefully, we'll hear a little bit more about it. Majority of those exhibits that they went through with this detective were, of course, like we said, bullet fragments. And tell the people how
Right.
you felt about that.
Well, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before, that there's those bullets that deliver a lot of, they're meant to kill. They fragment and shatter. And the simple fact that a lot of those bullets, a lot of those things, a lot of those placards that are listed in this grand jury testimony were bullet fragments and not like bullets. And the one thing I think I noticed, there wasn't a lot of shell casings that matched the number of bullet wounds on Nipsey's body.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have a revolver that you got a 5-shot revolver and a 6-shot revolver, which is most common,
Hmm.
and those don't leave any shells, but you could probably get bullet fragments potentially. And then you have a semi-automatic that ejects shells every time it shoots. So it's like, if the way they described that, they in the grand jury they talk about the kill zone, and means that the assailant wants to get as much damage in this area. To me, it doesn't appear to be that way, because of lack of shell casings and lack of victims, quite honestly. Because you got one guy who's grazed on the belt buckle, you got one who's shot in the pelvis, and then Nipsey's, you know, like Swiss cheese.
Mm. Mm, 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 mm.
And I don't say that Swiss cheese to disrespect Nipsey. I'm just saying, it's like the way they're trying to tell us the story, that there's this kill zone and this guy come in. I mean, come on, some of us are from the streets. We know that if it came like that, it was a lot of people would have been hurt and innocent. We hear it every day.
Yeah.
We've been to the parties, we've been to the discos, we've been on the streets at the picnics where somebody just came in and and a lot of innocent people get hurt, sometimes killed.
Mm, and that's true. That's true. And I feel the same exact way because I don't know too much about guns. I'm not that familiar, but I am learning. Um, my goal is by the end of the year to be a carried license holder of a gun. So, I'm trying to get my knowledge up on different things. And the way I feel is exactly how he feels. And why weren't more people hurt? We all saw the video. We all saw that it was quite a couple, it was about 5 people standing in an area which we call the kill zone. And the way these bullets are flying, somebody else should have been injured just as much as Nipsey was.
Yeah, you guys have to kind of like visualize two cars parked side by side and then put people along the doors of each car. And
Hmm.
then imagine somebody walking and trying to shoot in that
Got
area with two
directly.
guns. With two guns.
Now he has 2 guns. We found that out in volume 2 that there's two
That's
guns.
like overkill. That's like overkill. That's like, you might have, in reality, I mean, that should have been a few people seriously injured from that.
It should have been. It could have been. It would have been. But something ain't right still. Because like you said, with the amount of bullets and this, that, and the third, we come to find out later on in Mendoza's testimony that they had to uh they cropped one of the exhibits of evidence, and then they discarded a exhibit of evidence as well. But they also say that there was 840 caliber casings. All of them were 40 calibers. How do you feel about that, being that you know a little bit more about guns?
Again, that area. I mean, anybody can go to a gun range, an amateur, preferably an amateur, and go get you a 40 caliber and shoot rapidly with whatever is your favorite hand, left-handed, right-handed, and see where the bullets go. If you could, wherever the bullets go on that paper, and put it at the distance of like, 15, 20 feet. And you're gonna see them bullets are gonna go for an amateur. It's gonna go everywhere.
I mean, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine
They're gonna
holding.
go everywhere. Them bullets gonna go everywhere. You're gonna get some strikes in the kill in the on the bulls on that circle, depending on what type of target paper you're using. But you're gonna get some, but the vast majority they're gonna just be all spread all over because you're just not a shooter like a police officer is. See, a police officer will have all those bullets, or a military person will have all those bullets in a tight group. Now, and the argument is going to be, well, he was hitting his foot, he's hitting his thigh, he's hitting his stomach, he was hitting it underneath his, and grazed on his elbow, grazed on his buttocks. And they're saying that one would say that's all, all over the place. But he has two guns, and one of them is a revolver. I don't know.
So the last piece of evidence was a plaque card number 17, and that was the chili cheese fries found in the alleyway. Just another little key piece of evidence. Maybe not a key piece, but just another piece of evidence that's random. And
Right.
then we move to Michael Ramirez, who was very interesting. Come to find out, he is a paralegal for LA Sheriff's Office. He does research and acquires past legal problems with defendants. Or in the grand jury testimony, these people are called targets, and we'll get more into that. They're not
Right.
defendants.
Right.
Okay. So exhibit number 39 is the Kletz rap sheet. And
Right.
that is now this is where Cisco might go off a little bit, you guys. um Redacted rap sheet page was number 1. So they redacted page 1 of this rap sheet.
Right.
March 28th of 2012 was an arrest date for possession of controlled substances while armed for Eric Holder. April 9th of 2012, he was charged at LA County Airport. Sentenced to 3 years and served only 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to give you guys a quick detail. I said these were charges for Eric Holder, but in that report, his name is not given. It's only given in the booking photo. So in the
Mm-hmm.
whole report, it's not named Eric Holder. This is Eric Holder's charge from this, that, and the third, and this, that, and the third. No,
Mm-hmm.
the name is only given in the booking photo. He had gave a fake name at some point of when he got arrested. I do believe,
Right.
and he gave him a fake name.
Right.
How do you that?
Well, given fake names, that's a real common hood thing. I thank God I haven't been a victim of it, but I've had friends that have been a victim of that. You know, other street dudes using other guys' names. But the problem that I have with this whole thing is that he's been to prison. That's number one. Number two, he's been arrested in a jail. And you have a whole nother digital database system that soon as your fingerprints are run, they know exactly who you are. It's just automatic. And especially a person who's a convicted felon, been arrested before, been convicted before, they left doubt with his identity, or they left doubt with me with his identity by the way they confirmed that this is Eric Holder. I didn't like that
I didn't
because
either.
there's a whole easier way. I mean, I think most people know, listening to this, if anybody's been booked before nowadays, if if you're in a big enough city, most likely you're not going to be using ink. They use a digital system. You digitally get your fingerprints. They're in a database. If they want to know, and then you think about a person that goes to prison, it's even more. I mean, this is just an ex-felon. Come on. If a job won't hire you for being an ex-felon, how about the police trying to know who you are?
Exactly. And
You know, I mean, just
one more thing I want to point out in that is that Mr. Eric Holder can get to an airport, and I don't know what Mr. Eric Holder was going to do. I assumed that he was going to flee if he was at an airport. So just keep that in mind as well. Um, we don't know how how broad Eric Holder's reach is. We don't
well,
know where he was
right.
headed. We don't
Well,
know
we
who
know
he's connected to.
we know somebody else who was got arrested at the airport on their way to Mexico. It was involved in this case, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Okay, dokie. Yeah, we could definitely sprinkle that on.
Get them something to wait for.
Wow. So we're moving along, and we get to. I have a little trouble with this name, Aberador Amro, and he is a LAPD homicide detective of 21 years. See, now we're getting to the heavyweights. So he interviewed witness number one on April 2nd. He claimed that she was very cooperative and gave access to all that they asked for. Exhibit number 10 shows camera 6 of the parking lot image seconds before the shooting. He has still not talked to Shermy Villanueva, the guy in the pink shirt.
Right.
He only got to see body camera footage from the scene, which I assume would show Shermy Villanueva. So he's saying that he never got to talk to him himself, that he only saw how Shermy Villanueva was acting on body camera footage.
Right.
So this is another part where I wanted to ask you, where's Shermy?
Obviously, the police can't get to him. The DA can't get to him. But what's really strange is why you haven't subpoenaed him. Why you haven't showed up at his. I mean, he lives with Carrie.
And that's
Um, a-
we don't
and go
we don't
ahead.
know. We don't know where Shermy is.
Exactly. And even the DA said in volume one, they made several home visits to try to make contact with him.
Correct.
So,
This
I
has
mean,
been
if
one, we don't know where Shermy is. They
You stopped.
established.
You stopped the whole city. You stopped the whole city for
I mean, we just
the
and
wake of Nipsey Hussle. But
okay.
you see what I'm saying? You guys will do all this.
We just had this whole man's funeral at the Staples Center.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You tell me you can't get Shermy Villanueva this
You can't get Shermy.
okay. Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Okie dokie. So he did not attend the autopsy of Nipsey Hussle, and we already know who really did the autopsy. Not Lawrence Wynn. It was Timothy Dutra, Dr. Timothy Dutra, who did the autopsy of Nipsey Hussle. And this
Right.
detective did not show up to that autopsy. Okay. So camera 21 shows the Shell gas station. It shows Eric Holder running to the scene and from the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where he says you can see a pistol in each hand.
Right.
So who does that contradict? Witness numero uno.
Yeah, that's our best witness.
Witness numero uno says that she could not find, I mean, she only saw one gun, and that was the 9mm after the shooting. Then she
Mm.
went back and said under the exculpatory evidence that she saw him manipulate the gun beforehand. And
Mm.
now this trained detective is saying that he can see this man running to and from your car with pistols in each of his hands. But okay. Zoomed in video shows a chrome and a black pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to Cedric Washington, who is a LAPD detective of the Homicide Division for the 77th Precinct area, and he's been on board for 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really big heavyweight because he has the most lineage in his career. He said that he got there and looked at videos at specific times of the shooting. And this is the one you really had an issue with. Camera
Mm-hmm.
analysis was the time Nip got out of his vehicle to the shooting. So that was 28 minutes and 45 seconds long.
Right.
He said 6 minutes and 15 seconds. He said 4 minutes at first, but was corrected by the
Right.
DA.
By the DA, 6 minutes and 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, actually, yes, 6 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah. But he had said 4 minutes at first. Master
Right.
Burger got, so he's showing that this is Eric Holder he sees. He went to Master Burger, got into the white car, drove out of the lot to the time Eric shoots. So 6 minutes and 15 seconds, he's showing Eric Holder do all the movements that he was doing. 4 minutes and 15 seconds, he's not sure again about that time frame in the video. He says Eric meets with a group, they talk, the picture was taken with witness number one, and he goes to Master Burger. So pretty much the DA kind of caught him up
Right.
with the times of what
But that's
he
but
saw on
that's what
camera.
these guys have been doing this whole thing. When they don't get that answer that they want, they always coach them to get that coach them into the answer they need.
Mm-mm. So camera 21 shows the Shell gas station. He shows Eric Holder walking northbound. and it takes him 32 seconds. And then southbound, he's running. They compared the time from camera 21 to camera 6. And that's where they got that 32-second time frame from. That it took him 32 seconds to walk northbound and come running back to the car. Witness number 1 at the 77th precinct confirmed with coworkers and spoke with the desk officer who missed the briefing and the chief's press conference. So he was asked about that. He was asked about the fact that witness number 1 allegedly was turned away by that desk officer who wasn't briefed. And then McKinney, the DA McKinney, makes a comment and says, missed the briefing and the chief's press conference. So he pretty much prompts this
Right.
to say that this desk officer at the 77th precinct.
Yeah, that had to get that comment had to be stricken.
Yes, it had to be straight. And he did agree with McKinney that the officer is the press conference as if officers are supposed to miss. We can see what happens when they do miss press conference. Witnesses get turned away. So Kerry Lathan had 3 interviews, spoke with 3 additional times. The county jail interview was exculpatory evidence with Kerry Lathan, and he said that Nipsey said, "You got me," during the time of him laying on his back after the shooting. So this officer talked to Kerry Lathan several times, and I guess I don't know if he was asking where Shermy was, but they talked quite a lot. Herman Douglas, when this officer Washington or Detective Washington spoke with him, he expressed that Herman Douglas was the most cooperative in this investigation.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm. So, exculpatory evidence for Herman Douglas was a rap sheet. Now
Right.
this is where this goes. Okay. So back in 98, he had a felony assault case. In 91, he had a lewd act on a child. At this time, Nipsey was around 21 years old. No, I'm sorry. Strike that. Sorry. Strike that. In 92, he had a sex battery and robbery charge. And in 2000, a perjury charge. And then in 2006, when Nipsey was 21 years old, I apologize, he had a driving a vehicle without owner's consent charge.
Right.
But let's go back to that perjury charge. Now,
Right.
how does that make you feel, Cisco?
Well, we look at this as at all angles. If you're a juror or you're a defense attorney, you see that this guy is not a credible witness. And also just looking at his he too had to be coached at times. If you go if we later in another show, maybe we could summarize what Herman Douglas said on the stand, but he too was one of those guys had to be coached, and it just makes me see this ever occurring theme in this case is just that everything is less than the expectation. You got witness 1 is a terrible witness. Herman Douglas is a convicted felon who's been convicted of perjury. So he's lied on the stand before. I mean, and got caught. So I mean, this just is like, man, this it doesn't get any worse. Every time we find, we got the we got the coroner who didn't do the autopsy. We got the officer who only gets the master burger video. I mean, it just keeps on going and going where everything is less than expected in a
Very
major case like this.
very lackluster investigation, if I do say so myself. But hey, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Exhibit number 40 shows a photo from the Master Burger video. And this is where Office Detective Washington, I apologize, says that he sees a bulge in the right front pants pocket.
Right.
So he didn't see a gun, he saw a bulge.
Right.
Hmm. Exhibit number 11 from camera 6 shows a video of the shooting cropped and slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
His right hand is extended, and it appeared that his left hand was extended. It
Mm-hmm.
appeared that his left hand was extended. I repeat.
This is exhibit number 11, cam 6. This is the one they say is the clip of the shooting itself.
Correct. The only one that analyzes and talks about this one.
But we don't get no details, really.
Correct. Correct. It shows the end of shooting where Eric Holder does kick Nipsey in his head, and that is about 1 minute and 15 seconds into this specific video. We all know that is the heart-wrenching part of this that makes people question if this is personally motivated. I want
Mm-hmm.
to say that that man did not deserve that. He did not deserve that.
Let me read this thing. This is kind of gonna nail in the point I was making earlier. Um, the district attorney asked, "What did you see?" I saw what appeared to be a volley of shots from the right hand being extended out in front of him, and then another volley of shots from what appeared to be the left hand, a firearm in the left hand being extended out in front of him, pointing it in the direction of the people that we see standing in the clip here. Now, that's why I was saying
Yes,
there
yes.
should be more damage, more victims other than Nipsey,
So they're saying that
based on what he said.
he lifted up one gun, bow, 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 bow. Then he turned around and lifted up the other one, bow, 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 bow. So they're not saying necessarily that he was holding both of them and trying to go wild, wild west. No, Cisco was saying that it was a little more control. He had a little more control, so he could have really done some damage.
Yeah, I mean, and look how, like I say, if you can put your mind in that space where there's two cars, you're in the parking lot, there's two cars parked side by side, and there's people leaning on one side, leaning on one car and leaning on the other car. And then a person steps in that area, in that little alley or whatever that's created, and starts shooting like this guy just described. It doesn't make no sense that how he describes it, it doesn't make no sense that only Nipsey takes the fatal shots.
Interesting.
No, nobody else is seriously injured.
I mean, some would argue and say that Kerry Latham was seriously injured because he was in that wheelchair. Some may
Well,
argue. So, I don't know.
well, I would say that. I would say, okay, he was seriously okay. Well, you notice how the bullet that hit Kerry Latham didn't do what the bullets did that hit Nipsey.
True that.
You see,
So
them bullets that hit Nipsey move and shatter and break and snap. And if it don't have nothing, it'll go straight out of you. The one out of in the back of his head went straight out. One hit in his stomach and shattered his spine, severed his spine. Come on. One hit his toe and land and go into the heel. The bullet that hit him hits his pelvis. It didn't shatter his pelvis. It didn't come out his hip or his thigh.
hmm.
You see? And the
Yeah,
bullet, and look at the punk ass bullet that hit Shermy. That joker bounced off the belt buckle.
Shermy a lucky guy, man. Shermy got that luck.
you notice how that's not exhibit 40 something? That belt buckle with the damaged bullet wound?
Correct. Good call,
Where
sister.
you see, you see, you see, this is a grand that you're supposed to put forth the most thing to convict Eric Holder. Hello?
Let's hope that he gets convicted. I'm
Oh,
listening.
okay.
You
Oh no,
kind of
I thought you.
that
I'm
belt
saying,
buckle.
yeah, because I'm saying you're supposed to put the most. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't I mean it's a small piece, but I'm just saying why wouldn't you have Shermy in there and also have that damn belt buckle? That belt buckle should have been collected on the scene. And it should have, even without Shermy, it should have been, well, this is the belt buckle that was struck by the bullet. It's
Yeah,
not
and they
there.
and they should have been like, "Come here, you're fine. Get in the back of the car. Come on, let's interview you. Stop running from us. Talk to me. Your uncle has to talk to me because you're the one who brought your uncle here." Okay. So we end off with Detective Washington stating that witness number one was concerned about her safety on more than one occasion.
Right.
He investigated her threats to her life. He did discover threats, numerous threats. The car, the license plate, her physical appearance. Um, he did not see her real name in any of these threats, though, and he described them as being aggravating.
Mm.
Hmm. We really
Well,
don't.
I would think that she would get some credible threats to her life. I would think so.
I mean, if they're saying in her testimony, um, shoot, one of these testimonies states that the picture that she took with Nipsey was online. So at one point, you saw her with Nipsey that day.
Right.
Somebody did.
And I'm
Some
pretty sure somebody has that picture, but they're not putting it up because it probably gets taken down. But I'm
it
pretty sure somebody has that picture.
probably gets investigated. So I wouldn't put that up there, you guys.
And I would say now that these transcripts are out, her life is probably even in more. There's probably even more threats because, and I'm not trying to make her look worse than. I'm just being my honest surface opinion about what we've read, and I don't buy her story. I believe that she's what I'll say at minimum she's in what they call that in the legal terms, um, an accessory before and after the fact,
Clearly,
before and after the fact.
accomplice.
That's at minimum. At minimum, she's an accessory before and after the fact. and I believe that, and it'll be interesting because this last motion for discovery by Eric Holder's attorney. Um, it just will be interesting how this case is going to play out. That's all. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm ready to get to the grand, the not the grand, the trial, and see what is going to come out. If it, hopefully it gets televised. I mean, they don't know how much money they'll make off of televising this, so the people
Oh,
can actually.
that'll blow the ratings off the chart. It'll be the biggest trial. It'll be the biggest. It'll be up there with O.J. Simpson and Michael Jackson.
Mm.
Yeah, it'll be huge.
So let's just point out a couple things in the closing statement.
Right.
That was written at first by DA John McKinney,
Mm-hmm.
and he explained some things about witness number one and Herman Douglas providing context, and the conversation about snitching from Herman Douglas,
Right.
uh, the charges against Eric Holder, and how they break down first degree murder and second degree murder. First
Right.
murder expresses the malice, whereas second degree murder implies malice. They are pushing for murder one.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean that they can prove that Eric Holder had deliberation and premeditation, correct?
See, that's where if they go for murder one, then that makes me say like, why aren't you charging witness one for an accessory before and after the fact?
Correct.
Because to me, a murder two is a slam dunk case. You have a conversation, you get pissed off, yes, you you have to take a couple uh rounds around the block, but this is where McKinney tries to explain that they don't need all that for to establish the murder one. But I just think that's just overkill by the prosecutor, because this to me the way the story is told, it sounds like a second degree murder. The guy didn't initially come there for murder. This is the story they tell us. He didn't leave Long Beach looking to murder Nipsey Hussle. He came because he was called a snitch, he got mad and went to murder. That's to me a murder too, slam dunk. But
I
they say that contemplation warrants the murder one.
okay.
But then I say, if that's the case, then why aren't you charging this girl? Because she's not that helpful.
Exactly. She's really not.
She's not that helpful.
She said, I need to be safe and then I'll talk to you guys. So John McKinney makes a little boo boo, maybe not a boo. He says the defendant is guilty. Now, this is something that he's actually stating, and he says in his closing statement. And
Right,
Neil Rocha had to let him know it's just a grand jury trial, and to
right,
refrain from using the term defendant, and also definitely don't say he's guilty yet.
right.
So under the count number two, he has two attempted murders for Curry and Shermy. I was about to call them both Kermy. Um, uh, and they were also located in that kill zone because we were talking a lot about that. Count three is assault with a firearm. And is that all that he's charged with? 'Cause we were rolling through this. I do believe.
Um, What's the last one you said?
assault with a
Felony
firearm.
and felony in possession of a firearm.
Okay, okay. So Anel Rocha, she just was not feeling what John McKinney was saying. So she
Wow.
went ahead and took it upon herself to redo the closing statement. While she did that, she referred to Eric Holder as a junior.
Right.
This whole time, we have not referred to Eric Holder as a junior. We've called him Shitty Cuz, we've called him Fly Mag, but we've never fully said out our mouths Eric Holder Jr.
Which, when I read that and I had to go over each volume to make sure that it was written that way, Eric Ronald Holder Jr., because I remember specifically when we first started researching this case. I know I was just putting Eric Holder and I kept on getting Eric Holder Jr., which is the former Attorney General of the
Mhm.
United States government. So I was like, that was the thing that was bothering me. Why? Because I've seen that in other strange cases where the assailant has this ambiguous name, which for people who are trying to investigate the case, it makes it hard. And it was hard for us because every time, everything we were looking, it was the Attorney General, it wasn't Eric Holder. And then when we saw Eric Holder Jr. and what? This guy is Junior?
Hmm.
And that's just one of those things I have to go back through those screenshots to see, because we got some screenshots here early on. We got to go through those, LA, because we're gonna see if that's like a late switcheroo type of thing. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we can definitely go back to those.
Hold on, I'll save that. Just let me, when you finish this closing argument stuff, I want to ask you a question.
Okay. So his bail was set at $6,530,000. Sorry, I haven't. I'm not in that tax bracket, so I can barely say that number. Um, arraignment set to the next day with Chris Darden as the lawyer. Closed
Right,
out the same day. So Chris Darden also he's named to be the next lawyer at the next process, right? The arraignment. But he also closed out the day of the grand jury, the closing statement. He closed out his case with Eric Holder,
right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Eric Holder, he waived the 10-day and 60-day
Right,
situation to go to trial. So he wants to go to trial immediately.
right.
And we're done.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, do you want to share now on this video, since they brought it up in this volume 3 about Herman Douglas, do we want to share what we found about him on
Is that
this, or
that we
or
found out today or
the thing I'm referring to is that he is the thing about because he's got sex crimes. So, when you have a sex crime, you have to register as a sex offender.
oh
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
should we share that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll say so. This is for you guys, the friends or the family of LA show. Okay, so we have a lot of old stuff that because we were just collecting the data. She wasn't putting out the videos. So anyway, um, when Cowboy's name started popping up, we started doing background searches on Pop Cowboy. And this is not trying to like toot our horn, but honestly, nobody had made a video yet about what I'm about to say. And that he is currently a unregistered sex offender, meaning, and he has been unregistered since 2011. Meaning you have an ex-felon who's supposed to be a registered sex offender, but he hasn't registered since 2011, and he's just moving freely out there in the streets. Is the system messed up? That it's not updated? It's possible. I'm just saying, it's kind of it's kind of weird. I want to
You
ask you another question because I want to ask you this before I say it. Do we want to talk about those initial searches about Eric Holder, since you brought up the junior thing? Do
of
you
course.
want to? Okay. So, this is not the first case that, you know, me and LA have worked on.
Mm-mm.
So, when Nipsey got killed and we got the name Eric Holder, I was trying to find an arrest, a mugshot, something. The guy was literally a ghost. Literally a ghost. You can find nothing. I could not find nothing. And I got some little techniques and I tried everything. I could not find nothing. The only thing I found was the same name, same age, but a different picture in Long Beach assigned to that name, Eric Holder. Um, just to give you guys just a little reference of how that worked. We had just before the Nipsey case, we were working on the Trinity Love Jones case, and we were able to pull up all the adult players in that case where they had been arrested, they had been convicted. I pulled up the court records. It was easy
Mhm.
to find. It was all there. But in Eric Holder, nothing, nothing at all. And I found that so strange. Even Cowboy, you can find stuff on, but you can't find nothing on Eric Holder. And to the audience that hears this, if you guys can find something now, please do share it. Please do share it, because I would love to
Right.
see what's going on with this guy.
Me too. Everybody would. And we got a little glimpse of his record in the paralegal's testimony, but that was only one charge.
Yeah,
I mean, Eric Holder is a good old boy. He doesn't really make too much noise.
I mean, but his reputation on the streets is he's with the shits. So you've been arrested. I mean, if you just in the street, you get arrested for anything. He has nothing. That's
Interesting.
crazy. Yeah, that's
So we're
crazy.
not we're not going to drop all our knowledge in this video, but this was a pretty long video. Thank you guys for sticking around with us. Um, Cisco is going to be here more often as we go over different things. I know you guys have really been liking these type of videos, and I really do appreciate you for tuning in and listening to this. It's a lot to take in. We are not trying to play detectives or what they call us YouTube detectives. Um, this is just the facts. This is just what is presented. I'm not gonna call this the facts. This ain't the facts. This ain't the facts. This is just what's being presented. And we have to acknowledge that.
Right. Absolutely.
Next up, I say we tackle a good old video analysis. That's
Ah,
going to
okay.
be kind of difficult, but I think we should do that for the people. We're going to have to find a format and a layout for that.
Okay. That sounds great.
So please like, share, comment your thoughts on this third volume of this grand jury transcript in the Nipsey Hussle situation, assassination. Sorry. And we will be back.